Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Tom, and thank you all for coming out, showing interest in this project. My name is David Omick, and I am speaking on behalf of the Cascabel Working Group, a local grassroots organization concerned with the ecological and cultural integrity of the San Pedro Valley. We have an approximately 20-minute presentation for you this evening as an introduction and orientation to this part of the San Pedro Valley. The section of the valley through which SunZia proposes to route a major transmission line is arguably the wildest and most scenic section of the approximately 140-mile-long San Pedro River. The list of environmental and cultural attributes included in this relatively short stretch of the San Pedro Valley is unique in Arizona and perhaps in the entire American West. Although only about 30 miles long and perhaps 25 miles wide, it includes one of the major migratory bird flyways in North America and also one of the greatest diversities of mammal species in the United States. It also contains a wealth of archaeological sites dating back several thousand years. Its unique attributes are evidenced by the fact that this short section of the San Pedro Valley includes a national park, a national forest, 4 federally designated wilderness areas, one of the Nature Conservancy's largest U.S. ecological management areas, as well as grazing leases that are part of Pima County's Sonoran Desert Conservation Plan. In addition, numerous conservation and archaeological easements are held by the Bureau of Land Management, the Bureau of Reclamation, the Nature Conservancy, and the Center for Desert Archaeology. I'd like to take just a few minutes to talk about the history of conservation work in this part of the valley. In that long history, perhaps the longest record belongs to the ranching community here. Some of our local ranching families go back generations to the late 1800s and have been instrumental in preserving our vast landscape of open space. They have also helped to maintain wildlife connectivity in the valley and to preserve our rural heritage and culture of the Southwest. Assisting them is the Redington Natural Resource Conservation District, which was established in 1947 to offer technical assistance for area ranchers and other landowners in conservation-related projects. The district's area of conservation influence covers some 285,000 acres in this part of the valley. The first institutional conservation work here dates to 1910 with the establishment of U.S. Forest Service holdings in the Galiuro Mountains on the east side of the valley. Those holdings have since expanded to include extensive lands of the Coronado National Forest in the surrounding Winchester, Santa Catalina, and Rincon Mountains, as well as the Rincon Mountain Wilderness Area and the Galiuro Wilderness Area. In recognition of the area's unique environmental attributes, the Saguaro National Park was established as a national monument in 1933 and upgraded to national park status in 1994. The Saguaro East Unit, which includes the Saguaro Wilderness Area, overlooks this part of the San Pedro Valley. Beginning in 1982, the Nature Conservancy became a partner along with the Bureau of Land Management and the U.S. Forest Service in the 49,000-acre Muleshoe Ranch Cooperative Management Area. The Nature Conservancy has more recently recognized the extraordinary environmental value of the San Pedro Valley by designating it, quote, one of the last great places. The Nature Conservancy has been a leader in local conservation efforts, acquiring deeded land and conservation easements along this part of the San Pedro River. The Bureau of Land Management is also a longtime conservation partner here in the valley, working with the Nature Conservancy to cooperatively manage the Muleshoe Ranch since 1982, and with Cascabel residents to develop the Cascabel BLM Ecosystem Management Plan in 2000. It also manages the Redfield Canyon Wilderness Area. In 1988, the Saguaro Juniper Association, a local ranch and conservation group, began to acquire deeded land and state grazing leases in and around Hot Springs Canyon. a major tributary of the San Pedro River. The Saguaro Juniper Association now holds over 1,000 acres of deeded land and nearly 8,000 acres of state lease land. All 1,000 acres of Saguaro Juniper's deeded land are under conservation easement. In the late 1990s, the Cascabel Hermitage Association was established with the three-pronged purpose of offering solitary desert retreats, outdoor education, and conservation work. Recognizing the need to conserve Hot Springs Canyon as a major Trans-Valley wildlife corridor, the Hermitage Association worked for more than 5 years with local landowners to coordinate the transfer of properties in the canyon to conservation easement status. Extensive grazing leases on the west side of the valley are also managed for open space and conservation values under Pima County's Sonoran Desert Conservation Plan, following voter-authorized bonds in 2004. To protect the irreplaceable cultural and historic resources in the San Pedro Valley, the Center for Desert Archaeology has been locally active since the 1980s. It holds archaeological easements here and has an active staff member living in Cascabel. Finally, the recreational opportunities offered by the wild and open public lands here cannot be overlooked. In the fall of 2009, the Arizona Department of Game and Fish issued nearly 6,000 hunting permits in units 32 and 33, which include this part of the valley. The world-class bird watching opportunities attract countless birders each year, and increasing numbers of hikers are beginning to enjoy the recently developed Arizona Trail, which circuits the western rim of our valley, just to name a few examples. Now, these many efforts are beginning to coalesce into a locally generated conservation vision, which may eventually include valley-wide cooperative management status between area landowners, conservation groups, and county, state, and federal agencies that would put an end to further utility development here, would actively conserve the valley's myriad environmental and cultural resources, and would encourage the viability of traditional land uses such as ranching and outdoor recreation. Chet Phillips of the Cascabel Working Group will now speak on the biological attributes of the valley. Chet? Thank you.